Travels with Geordie. If this is your first visit, my name is Peter Knowles, and I live on a pair of classic wooden motor cruisers here in Victoria, British Columbia, along with my lovely girlfriend Andrea, and the lovely memory of my pup Geordie, all the while fixing both boats up for some pretty ambitious cruising. If that's the sort of thing you might find interesting, please consider sticking around and subscribing. Okay, no more wiring. Because I know how popular it is. Well, there'll be a touch of wiring this episode, but mostly it's mahogany. Anyway, you'll see what I mean. And we have a really fun project this week. Lighting. Isn't it always lighting? Now, I'd love to have a nice dome light up here directly above the table. And well, this is the type of dome light I'd like to have. So it's going to go basically up there just like that. But the truth is, there's no place to run the wires because this is the deck planking. So I can't run wires up into anything. They'd have to run along the side of the beam here. So what I want to do is create a mahogany block for this to sit on that swoops into some nice wire chases that goes over to the edge and behind the lighting chase there, where I can run wires back to the main panel, or at least the main lighting panel, which is behind that cabinet. And I'll make it symmetrical, so I'll run another wire chase over this side as well. And the neat thing about that is we need two wires up in this chase, because that little hole you see there is actually where the wire goes for the steaming lamp, which is a forward-facing white light that you need when you're driving the boat at night. So it's all based on the size of this lamp, and let's go over to Geordie and see if we can fashion something up out of mahogany that'll look absolutely gorgeous. And we're back aboard MV Geordie, and I've dug out some wood for this project. This will be the center block that the lamp actually sits against, which will swoop into the wire chases made out of this piece, which is actually, those of you who've been following along, this was my first attempt at the gutter rail for MV Zephyrus last year, and well, it failed when the router, well, I lost control of the router right here, but I'll be able to trim that down and it'll be a perfect wire chase for this. All right then, let's get to work. First off, we'll cut this in half to make it a little more manageable in the router. And then rip it down to something usable. Oh, this poor saw needs some maintenance. It really, really does. So let's see what we can do. This is not actually the ideal product for this, but it will do in a pinch. There we go, much better. Okay, I'm gonna do for a little bit. Let's see what we can do about this central piece. Okay, so let's start to lay this out a little bit. This is the lamp I have now, and it's a nice size, but I want a little extra wood around it to make it pretty, and also perhaps someday in the future I'll have a slightly larger lamp. So what's my total maximum width? Around 7 inches. Now that would be maxed out. Let's make about 6.5, so 3 1/4 of an inch. Let's set this up for roughly 3 1/4, and I mean very roughly. That'll do. Start with the center line, about in the middle, and we'll start basically just off the end, so we're not wasting any wood. And that will be my outer circle. And because it basically does just close, even if I had a lamp as big as that, it would fit on the panel. Now I have to sweep that down into the wire chases, which are going to come in on the side. And the easiest way to set that up is to just trace one of the wire chases onto this piece of wood. And I'll get those nice and flush like that. And that's where that goes, right there. Now I would like this curve to be nice and graceful, so I'm going to figure out where the tangent or the quadrant is off of that, which is about there and about here, which means we're talking about there somewhere. So I'm looking for some sort of object with a radius of about 2.5, but it doesn't have to be exactly. Lo and behold, the lamp is actually very, very close to that, and it doesn't have to be exact. I'm going to land slightly above the quadrant, so my line isn't going to quite go to vertical before it swings again, and that is just fine by me. Right about like that. I'll do the same over here. Now, of course, I could do this with a compass, but sometimes it's easier to just find something that fits because it just is. There we go. It's kind of like an old mantle clock right now. I do have to determine where to cut it square, and I'm going to say roughly 6 inches from the center line in both directions. Okay, now just cut it out. Now, because my jigsaw, the blade leans and it's just a misery thing, I always cut well outside the line, and I'll fix it up on the stationary belt sander. Ooh. Okay, splendid. Okay, so this is the overheads in the boat, and this is the deck beam above. I'm basically going to create the chase in here. It'll have a little curved edge on it and a notch cut out of it for the wires to go through. So if we bring that out here, it'll look basically like this. And here's the beast. Alright, so we have a quarter round on here, and we'll start with the wire chases. Turn this a little bit, there we go. And off we go. And then we'll pull the fence back so that we can run this across. I think that gives me enough room. Yes, it does. All right. Being very careful not to go past 90 degrees to the end, because if I went around the corner at all, I would ruin this tip for it to line up with my other piece. And let's see how it looks. So there we go. Lovely. So this is where the wire chase will join the light block and carry on through. Alright, next I want to drill a big hole in here with a hole saw, and as I've left my drill on MV Poem, I'm going to have to pull out an old friend. Oh my gosh. It's been a while. Okay, let's make sure this stays perfectly centered and start the actual hole. And then we'll come over here and cut the Problem with these things is that they don't want to slow down, so they can rip your arm off if you're not careful. I'm not known for a tremendous adherence to safety, and I'd like to improve upon that. And I do know what happens when a hole saw grabs with a drill. That won't stop. Okay. All right. It's starting to look more and more like a mantle clock. Okay, so I'm going to switch out this bit for a square cutting bit, having first disconnected the power. Yes, I know my insert is a bit too big. This is the smallest insert I have left. Okay, we'll set this up so it just catches the very edge. That's actually about splendid. I don't know how many wires I'm going to run in this chase, but there's no harm making it a little bigger than necessary. To be fair, that is a bit of a big bite for one pass, but well, it's worked out. You'll see I have a tiny nick here, and I can easily deal with that. What I'm going to do is rip off just 1/8 of an inch of this edge, which will fix that. Of course, I'll have to do it here as well. Okay, it'd be much tidier to put the work against the fence and cut 1/8 off this side, but I can't do that with the center section because of course I can't put that against the fence. So I have to put the blade tight in against the fence, and you can see I've done this before when I want to take a little strip off. That's why there's all these gouges in the fence here, and then run the work and slide it off. Well, that's fine until I get to the very end, because at this point this side of the work is not on the fence anymore because it's been cut by the wood. So I must stay very straight here as I lose my reference against this part of the fence. I think you understand what I mean. All right, next I have to make a bit of return, so if you indulge me here on the wrong boat. This wire chase basically is going to go against the beam on Poem and up against it, but then it has to return down a little bit because there's a little bit of side beam here before it drops into the wire, the existing wire chase where the LED lighting is on Poem. So I have to return this down a bit again to hide that. So that's just a couple of miter cuts on here, and that'll sort that out. And for that, the rarely used but very grateful for compound miter saw. All right, so that'll go together just like that. And this one goes together like that. And here we go. Let's glue these up. Marvelous. Fantastic. Oh, a little sun, isn't that lovely? And to wrap up, what I can do today while that glue dries is actually locate the light. Beauty. We're back. Okay. This thing kind of scared me because it seems a little big to place up here, but oh, it just fits perfectly. That's going to be lovely. So what I need to do, I made the 2 wire chases extra long. So I need to be able to arrange those and put them in place in such a way that I can have them both overlap and then place the center block in place and mark these and trim these to fit. So let's get, this is going to be a bit of a fiddle. The other thing I have to do is I haven't drilled these yet for screws, and I want to get the spacing of the screws relatively nice. So there's going to be just a few minutes fiddling with screw layout stuff. And I tuck it in here. It fits. Oh, does it fit? Oh yes, it fits. Very nice. Okay, let's imagine this. Okay. That's roughly where it's going to get cut, and now I can do some screw spacing. Yes. 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 Okay. Ooh, I like that. I like it. Now this has to be sprung in place slightly, but not too much. So it should be okay. There's actually so much curve here. I may actually take just a little out of the back top edge of that because the curve is quite tight, and I think pulling this might be a bit ambitious, but that's no problem. Describe it. Beauty. Cool. Let's go on the other side. I'm currently using stainless steel round head screws, but these will eventually be bronze oval head screws. Okay. So I'm going to scribe this again. Okay, so the trick now is to hold this in place exactly where it's supposed to be. And that's going to be more difficult, seeing as I can't stand on the table. But it lines up exactly with the hole, which is dead center. So slightly offset. Good, actually it's pretty straightforward. Mark it here and mark it here. And cut them, which I won't do indoors. We're having to do this work a little late at night because of scheduling. Andrea has to do some work in the wheelhouse days for her course. So this is the only opportunity I have to do this work. So we didn't bother taking you out into the cockpit in the dark to make these slight cuts. Okay. Okay then, let's see how this comes together. Oh, it's perfect. I love it. So I'll just take this all down, take it back to Geordie, tidy up those ends a little bit, clean it up a little bit, get some oil on it, and bring it back for the final install. And okay, with everything test fit and working perfectly, just needs a final little bit of a sanding, and you know what, after that, the beautiful oil. Okay. And then finally, this little bit of a scribe I did to make it catch the curve of the cabin top, which is a little more than can be sprung, in other words, than can be bent. So I'll just take it down to that line there. And with that done, let's get some oil on all of this. And on a rainy day, it's a perfect opportunity to put this pretty stuff up here. All right, so we also have to wire it up with the lamp here. So got some supplies, got the wire already ran from the panel, and we'll just take a moment to crimp these on. The trick here is to remember to put it through the hole first. Alrighty, so first I reinstall the light into the block. Okay, and then the whole apparatus into the overheads. Nice and tidy. Into the old holes. Very nice. The one on this side is technically a dummy for now, but this will carry the wire next summer for the steaming light that I mentioned before. Oh, taking that little bit off that edge turned out really, really well. Really well. It's perfect. Now let's see how smoothly this all goes. That's got to go up on there. And in. Very nice. Well, have you all been waiting for it? I've been waiting for it. And this lamp has one of those super neat marine features that it's also a night vision light for reading charts here at the table while underway. I love it, love it, love it. And if you love it, how about subscribing to the show? We'd really, really appreciate that. And if you love it, how about a big thumbs up or a share to that friend of yours who may also love it. And of course, as always, if you love it as much as I hope you do, please consider supporting the show and becoming a member of the crew. The links are down below for Patreon and PayPal. I love it. I love it.